Hello dear readers, this is Dawn over at Plot Chronicles. Today is favorite author day, which is Monday, and I may run out of favorite authors, so I'll just do videos as I can. And before I get into this video about one of my favorite authors, I want to say this. I have been uploading a video every day. I do try to keep most things 5 minutes or less, and I actually think I could go shorter on a few because you can say a lot in 5 minutes, and I think a lot can be said in 2 minutes, you know, depending on the video. So it depends how much I read, but there are some weeks that I'm able to read more than others. So I may have some weeks where I may upload 1 video a day, or I may have some where I upload 4 a week or 5 a week. It's going to depend on what I read because I don't want to rush my reading process, and I want to make sure that I give you a good description of books and things I read. I'm also reading all different kinds of genres now. I'm branching out more, so that really helps too. So that way, if someone says, well, I'm not really into domestic thrillers, and I talk about different types of books, that way it gives you variety. I like variety myself. Anyway, I'm going to get right into it. I'm going to be talking about Shari Lapena. I've read all of her books that are domestic thrillers. Okay, Shari Lapena is a former lawyer and English teacher. She lives in a farmhouse in Ontario, Canada. She was born in 1960. She used to write literary fiction. Now she writes more suburban, marriage, domestic type thrillers. I've liked every single book that she's written. And I'm going to tell you why in a few minutes. But one thing I want to say about her is, well, her books are fairly short. They're not really long books. They're easy to understand. And I don't mind now. I'm getting better about reading a little bit more complicated plot lines. But sometimes with everything going on in my life, I'm just not into books that require me to think a lot, if that makes sense. If it's a lot of characters, it gets to be kind of overwhelming sometimes for me. So she, like I said, she does domestic thrillers. Her most popular book is called The Couple Next Door. And actually, I think it's the first book that I've ever read. I thought it was good, a domestic thriller. And a book she has coming out, I think it's this summer it's coming out. It's already on hold, and it's called She Didn't See It Coming. I love the title. Her titles are the best. But what I like about her books is she has short chapters, which I like short chapters. To me, if I were an author, which I'm not, but if I were an author, one of the things that I would want to do is I would have different characters. Like if I wrote a domestic thriller, if I were going to write one, and I would maybe have it set in suburbia or maybe even a small town, and I would have it on a group of women maybe that were friends, and maybe 4 different women, and they'd be each living a little different lifestyle, but it wouldn't be tons and tons of characters because to me it gets overwhelming. I'd have short chapters, and this is what Shari Lapena does. And at the end of each chapter, she has like a little cliffhanger, which is brilliant because then it keeps you going to the next chapter. If you write this long chapter and maybe somebody's trying to get back into reading, they may not have the patience. But if you've got a short chapter and it ends with a cliffhanger, I mean, that's a really smart idea because then they're going to be like, whoa, what happens? And then you go to the next chapter and then it keeps you reading and it keeps you going, okay? A lot of them are set in Siberia. Or not Siberia, suburbia. Anyway, oh my gosh. I'm not, guess what? Can you tell I don't edit? Because I'm not going to edit that out. Anyway.
Siberia to some people.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. That's my husband, Al, in the background. Anyway, and I would tell you his nickname, but he might get mad. But let me know if you want to know it. Anyway, oh my goodness, suburbia. And I actually live in a suburb of Dallas, Texas, and I grew up in a suburb of St. Paul. Do any of you live in a suburb? Anyway, so let me know if you've read any of Shari Lapena's books, and that's all I have to say, and please come back if you have the patience to come back for tomorrow morning's video. Thanks, everybody. Love you. Bye.